Have you ever stopped to think about that? I mean, buying a phone is pretty straightforward, right? You can check the specs, you can read the reviews, you know exactly what you're going to get. But what about buying a haircut? Or, say, financial advice? All of a sudden, it feels like a total gamble. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't test it out first. So why is buying an experience just so much more complicated than buying a thing?
Well, to understand that gamble, you really need a map of the customer's mind. And that's what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to deconstruct the entire journey of buying a service, from the very first moment you realize you need one, all the way through the experience itself, and right to the end to how you decide if it was even worth it.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the big picture, the map for any service journey. Then, we'll dive deep into the 3 crucial stages: making the choice, the main event, and of course, the final verdict. And to wrap it all up, we'll connect the dots to see why this journey is so incredibly important.
Okay, to make sense of all this, we need that map I was talking about. And lucky for us, there's a framework that breaks down every single service interaction we ever have. You know, every service experience, whether it's grabbing a coffee or something as serious as undergoing surgery, follows this exact 3-stage model. It kicks off with the pre-purchase stage. That's when you're trying to decide what to do. Then you have the service encounter, the experience itself. And finally, you get to the post-encounter stage, which is where you look back and judge how it all went. Let's start right at the beginning, with the choice.
So, how do we choose? This first step is all about what's happening inside our heads before we even think about handing over our money or stepping through a single door.
To make this all feel a bit more real, let's follow the story of a student named Susan Monroe. She's got a huge job interview coming up, and her suit has to be absolutely flawless. That right there, that's the need that kicks off her whole journey. So, how in the world does she pick a dry cleaner?
Well, this table shows us the logical, rational side of our brain kicking into gear. Susan doesn't just pick one at random. No, she figures out what matters most to her. So, quality gets a weight of 30%, convenience 25%, and so on. Then she scores each dry cleaner on those things, does a little math, and adds it all up. And what's interesting is that through this logical process, she sees that even though one cleaner has a higher raw score, the new cleaner is actually the one that better fits her specific priorities.
But let's be honest, we all know that's not the whole story. A calculated score is one thing, but our decisions, especially for important stuff, are also driven by emotion. And one of the most powerful emotions is the fear of making the wrong choice.
Yeah, even if we don't realize it, we're subconsciously weighing all these potential risks. You've got financial risk. Am I just going to waste my money? Functional risk. What if they completely ruin my suit? There's even social risk. What are my friends going to think if I go here? This fear of a bad outcome is exactly why we spend so much time digging through reviews and asking for recommendations. We're just trying to get rid of all that uncertainty. All right, so once Susan makes her choice, she moves into stage 2, the service encounter. This is it. This is when she walks into the dry cleaner, hands over her suit, and actually interacts with the staff. It's showtime.
And that interaction is what the experts call the moment of truth. It's a term that was actually borrowed from bullfighting, and it means any single point of contact where a customer can form an impression of the service. Every phone call, every face-to-face meeting, each one is a moment where the entire relationship is on the line. And this metaphor of the matador, it is perfect. Because in that brief encounter, just like in a bullfight, the outcome is totally uncertain and the stakes are incredibly high. One wrong move, a rude employee, a confusing website, a slow response can completely destroy the whole experience. So what actually creates that experience? Well, it's a concept called the servuction system. It's a mashup of the words service and production. And this framework shows that what we as customers actually see is just the tip of a much, much larger iceberg.
A really great way to think about it is like a theater performance. You've got the front stage, that's everything we see, like the restaurant dining room, the friendly staff, the decor. But all of that is supported by an invisible backstage, the kitchen, the inventory systems, all the training programs. You simply cannot have a great front stage performance without a well-run backstage. It's impossible. So, after the show is over and Susan picks up her perfectly clean suit, she enters the final stage. This is the part where she reflects on everything that happened and forms her final judgment.
So how does she judge the service? It's not based on some objective good or bad rating. It's all about the gap between her expectations and the reality. The formula is really simple. Satisfaction equals the perceived performance minus your initial expectations.
If the experience was way better than you hoped, you're delighted. If it fell short, you're disappointed. It's that simple. And this is called the expectancy disconfirmation model.
And when we're making that final judgment, we're actually evaluating the service along these 5 key dimensions. Reliability is the big one. Did they do what they said they would? But we also judge the tangibles, like how the store looked, the assurance we get from staff who seem to know what they're doing, the empathy they show us as a person, and the responsiveness to our needs.
So why does mastering this whole 3-stage journey matter so much? Because it's about way more than just a single transaction. It's the blueprint for turning a first-time customer into a loyal fan for life.
It's really a chain reaction when you think about it. A positive experience across all 3 stages leads directly to satisfaction. That satisfaction builds up this perception of high quality. And that perception, that's what makes customers come back again and again, turning them into loyal advocates.
So as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this question. The next time you're choosing a restaurant or a mechanic or a doctor, think about this journey. What are you really being influenced by? Is it the promise they make before you buy, the performance you experience during the encounter, or the proof you evaluate after it's all over? Understanding that might just change how you choose forever.